Welcome on in everyone to a brand new Total War Warhammer 3 series. This time we'll be showing off Malakai Makaisson. Our embargo has finally dropped so I can show you all the mad slayer engineer in charge of the Spirit of Grudges and his glorious adventures. This is probably my favorite overall campaign, period, for the entirety of Total War Warhammer, and you will soon find out why. This thing is incredible. So for this campaign, we're going to be going up every other day, except for on this first episode here, where it's going to be going up alongside Tamarkand, possibly. We'll see how things play out, and if not, they'll just be going up alongside Tamarkand as the day opposite. So Tamarkand will go up, and then Malakai the next day. And so this campaign is also going to be a cinematic style, where all of the battles are going to be fought in battle replay mode. I decided to do this for the Malakai campaign because we have so many artillery pieces and flying war machines. We should be able to get lots of cool cinematic shots with those, better than we would be able to with the Nurgly boys with Tamarkand. So with all of that out of the way, let's get on over to the deets. So we've got Malakai Makaisson sets out to engineer his doom in a blaze of glory and adventure, taking flight from Krakadrak and the legendary Spirit of Grudges. For the Masters of Innovation, and actually my favorite overall color scheme, except for Barak Var, I do really love the purple Dawi as well. Purple and orange tend to be my favorite go-to colors for armies. His starting army is going to have a unit of Doom Seekers, which are easily my favorite of the infantry units that we have in the game now. We've got 32 of them, and these are an incredibly elite chain axe wielding infantry. They are simply the best. We also got two Miners with Blasting Charges, which we are going to make good use of. Some Thunderers, some Gyrocopters with Brimstone guns, and then the lovely cannons. For his faction effects, he's going to have access to Malakai's Adventures, enabling powerful war machine and artillery modifications, and unique legendary battles. So he's going to be modifying all of these war machines in some pretty cool ways. Can't wait to show you. His campaign, he's actually going to start control with Gotrek and Felix. You don't have to have there's a quest battle that you have to throw down with Slanesh. You don't even have to worry about any of that at all. Malakai starts from the beginning with Gotrek and Felix. We're going to have 15% less upkeep for all of our artillery and war machine units across all of our armies. And then all of our artillery and flying war machine units will have a +3 to their recruit rank. We'll have very elite war machines and tons of them. For his lord effects, we've got Malakai's army has access to the Spirit of Grudges airship buildings. He's going to be sailing around in his sky ship, very similar to Noctilus and his pirates, but much more in a Slayer way. He's got the deranged munitions ability, which will give any unit nearby with the ability to shoot missiles, magical attacks, and then 50% more base and armor-piercing damage, which is pretty great. And then he is also going to give all of the artillery and flying war machines in his army a 20% bump to their missile strength, which is glorious. Moving on to where he starts on the map, he is in Krakadrak, so there are enemies literally all around. We are going to have to be very defensive off the start and fight a whole bunch of battles with the intent of watching and seeing who is also nearby. We've got Boris above us, so if we can keep him alive, we've got a pretty strong ally there with Kislev. And then once a prodigiously gifted engineer of the renowned Engineers Guild, Malakai Makaisson now serves as a slayer, bearing the shame of a tumultuous and tragic past. As the creator of the ironclad Unsinkable and the airship Indestructible, both of which malfunctioned with devastating results, he carries the weight of numerous dwarfs' death on his shoulders, resulting in his ejection from the Engineers Guild. In the wake of the tragedies, Makaisson took the Slayer Oath, though his days of tinkering and invention are not yet behind him. He continues his craft, building wonders such as the Spirit of Grudges and the infamous Goblin Ewer, in the hopes that one day his shame will be expunged in either triumph or glorious death. For our settings, we'll be playing on very hard difficulty. I initially wanted to do this on Legend, but because there are maybe issues kind of moving over to update 5.0 and beyond, I don't want to lose any of our spawn or our saves here in the early run, and restarting and running back from the beginning just loses a little bit of the magic that we had from our initial run. So also no in-game scenarios. And we'll have the AI stat modifier set to completely neutral. That way our warriors will throw down as intended against Skaven or Norskins. With all that, let's begin our adventure.
From the earliest age of the Engineers Guild, the Dawi have forged machines of war. Wonders hewn of Gromril and gold. Trusted plans handed down through generations. Yet there are those who defy tradition. Cast out from the guild for his outlandish ideas, Malakai Makaisson now seeks to regain his honor. His Slayer oath to be fulfilled through iron, grit, and glory.
Let's get started. We've got some serious work to do.
Indeed, Malakai, and I love his voice actor as well. All of the lines are delivered excellently. We'll come on in real fast and get the camera settings sorted and out of our way, which is just the first step of many. Every time. And after sailing your ears with some clicks, we can see Makaisson's path to victory. So he is both Slayer and Engineer who embarks on deadly adventures using the might of the legendary Spirit of Grungni, which we can already see has its area of effect similar to Noctilus's boat. Glorious, pushing his engineering innovations to new heights as he seeks his desired doom. Progressing through Malakai's adventure missions upgrades specific war machines and leads to unique legendary battles against formidable enemies, while also potentially granting the benefits of the Dwarfs' Age of Reckoning. Also, you get more grudges handled through that as well. We'll show off the rework to the Dawi if you were not there for our Thorgrim stream, and I'll try to remember to put the card in the upper right hand while we're discussing it now, but completing the legendary battles of Malakai's adventures will earn the Masters of Innovation with their campaign victory. But first, we need to summon the Spirit of Grungni to fight in battle. It is a wonder to behold, built by the sweat of your own brow. It's time Thunderbarge is called into action, and launched headlong into the heat of battle. Spirit of Grungni may be called upon in battle by Malakai's army via special ability that can be improved by upgrading airship buildings. So our reward will be more crew, so we've got more airship crew growth, and then 100 Oath Gold. We also need to throw down with Dungrut, this big, beefy, stinky boy in our way. Such is the way. So in our armies, off the bat is going to be Gotrek and Felix, who have received a little bit of a rework. We'll show off their skills in but a moment as well, and we also have our airship building panel. So much going on Malakai. We get it up to tier 2. We already have a hardened hull, giving us a Slayers and our Slayer Pirates, as well as our Dragon Slayer at melee specialist hero there, who is going to be anti-large and armor piercing. How much do you have? 35. So you start off with more armor or bonus versus large than the likes of Kolek. That is glorious. I guess further up we get the Giant Slayers and the Doom Seekers, but no other units come through his building. Figure eventually we get the Spirit of Grungni so that it does not degrade when it's called on in. Start off with some bunks, billets, and then up to a barracks. But I think if we are going to go for any upgrades, first off, what does he even have in his building? Miniature here. We've got the beer hall, target practice dummy, which can we could just make some good old beer kegs here and sell them. That's glorious. Airship recruitment capacity and circle of influence size plus 50%. Larger propellers. Spirit of Grungni will no longer disengage during battle. So this is going to be something we want to rush. We also get the Thunderburner upgrade. Looks like it's no longer dealing damage to the barge. So you've got an ability called the Thunderburner. You can see it here, where you get a ton of extra movement for a brief period of time, but it just deals damage to the blimp as you're kind of overcharging those engines. The fact that he doesn't have that downside is pretty insane. And we've got the cargo hold, giving us growth and replenishment rate. You have just about all of the different military buildings, even. At least all the important ones. Got our Iron Drakes, our Thunder Barge assembly line, and then the automated foundry. This is a gigantic barge. You could launch other Thunder Barges from it. I'm going to start here in Krakadrak. So no Norse dwarves, but we are going to be on our way over to retake Karak Doom. Return to Karak Doom. So if we capture and occupy it, we get the Hammer of Smednir. So if you know the story, I could go ahead and I'm going to read it myself, or I'm going to do some research. If you know the story of what happened to Karak Doom, if it's the same as what it was over in Lord of the Rings, so be it. But was Makaisson part of the fall of Karak Doom? Because in the little intro scene, they mentioned that he is the cause of, or his ideas were what got him expelled, but it was actually the Dawi that died that got him expelled. So the technology tree, you'll also notice, has been reworked. So you've got your guilds panel and your clans panel. This is going to be very similar to your Nurgle rework, if you've seen that just yet, where their guild is all about your faction, out of the campaign map itself, giving all sorts of buffs down the line here, up to more population surplus for captured settlements, and diplomatic relations with the Kislev Empire and the Cathay as well. All of the human settlements, or all of the human empires. The Oath Gold is also going to be kind of your secondary resource, very similar to how the Infections have been reworked for Nurgle, where in the guilds tree you'll have different milestones that are kind of blocked by Oath Gold amounts, 250 for these. The same thing over here in the clans, which is going to be all about your soldiers. Warlords and Rangers for the first tier, and then you got Miners, and I believe just your normal shielded lads, so shielded warriors and great weapon infantry. So Charge Reflection is great. Interlocking Shields gives you Shield Wall, which is a brand new formation. They will actually form up into a much more massed up unit, and you will see get all of these buffs here. So more mass, more missile block chance, and a little bit of missile resistance. They just can no longer run. There are some of these over here. Shield Wall of Grombril has ballistic plating, which is able to deflect even direct cannon fire, so you just don't take the damage from cannons, which is just as insane as you would expect. Encourage for Hammerers is fine, but nowhere near as horrifying as good old Reflex artillery. That's enough of looking through there. The other brand new rework is going to be your Age of Reckoning. So, as you are settling grudges, which will just be built up by enemies of the Dawi, if they own any settlements that belong to the Dawi as key dwarf settlements, or if they just trespass or do any kind of negative things to the Dawi, they will start building up grudges that once you settle them, will fill up your Age of Reckoning bar. You start off as an Elgi, because of course you do, Finch's Bean Poles, and as you gain more and more, and pass the milestones, you'll go through the different tiers. So the Age of Reckoning Scruff gives you a little bit of control. You still have some debuffs, but you'll start getting access to some of those Grudge Settler units. You get Quarrelers and Slayers. For the Traum tier, you'll actually start getting some bonuses to your faction, and then more Slayer or Grudge Settler units, but you get one of each no matter what. So as you unlock the different tiers, so even if you get up to tier 2, it doesn't then give you more Slayers and Quarrelers, you just get one of each, and you also get Grudge Throwers and Longbeards. Up to tier 3, you get even more buffs, a little bit of upkeep reduction for your Grudge Settler units, and then access to the Iron Drakes and Hammerers. Then finally, Nullengrom, even more buffs, a little bit further upkeep reduction, and then you'll get access to all the Grudge Settler units. We'll come on into the Great Book of Grudges to show those off. You'll also get a temporary army of Grudge Settler units, which usually spawns a couple of flame cannons in it, which are the final unit they were talking about. Get gyrocopters with Trollhammer torpedoes and flame cannons. So the Great Book of Grudges has been reworked, and it looks glorious. And you can see exactly what these units are and what their specialties are. So they're a little bit different from your normal units. That's why they're usually a little bit higher on the upkeep, and that can get boosted even further if you are kind of weak at settling those grudges. 50% more upkeep on these guys is pretty horrible. 100% is very painful. But the Quarrelers will have bonus versus infantry on both their melee attack and missiles of 8, which is great. Puts their missile strength up to 26 if they're firing at the right targets, which is just horrifying under the right circumstances. They also have shield breakers, so any shields will be ignored on a subsequent fire. Your Slayers have Sundering attacks, which drops armor, and then extremely daring death blows, so when they drop below 25% health, they become absolute blenders. Your Grudge Throwers then have shrapnel projectiles and monstrous impacts. They're going to act more like a Dreadquake mortar than a Grudge Thrower. Your Longbeards are going to have Guardian, which is pretty decent if you have a lot of heroes and a squishy Lord, and then Expert Charge Defense, so they're much better at being defenders. Your Hammerers are going to have Frostbite attacks, so anyone who does throw hands with them is going to be much, much slower at getting away. And then they're going to have Frenzy, so they're going to rip through lads with the speed of sound. You got your Iron Drakes that are going to have more range by a pretty hefty margin. Your normal Iron Drakes have 80 range, and these guys have 120, which is a lot more. Also have flammable attacks, which will then be dropping the enemy whichever they touch with their flamethrowers. There gives them a weakness to fire plus 20%, begin taking even more damage from subsequent volleys of their shot or anyone else that does fire damage. Following them up is your gyrocopters with troll hammer torpedoes, which have a bonus versus large, armor piercing, and flaming attacks. They're going to be great at stopping any large regenerative monsters, which is exactly their job. They've also got the troll hammer bombs, which actually don't do a ton of damage to infantry units, but do a lot more to single entities, and they're just the larger targets in general. And lastly, we've got the flame cannons, which are easily my favorite of the new Grudge Settler units. These guys are goofy strong. They've got increased armor, which is by the by, but they have shrapnel projectiles, so you will have a little bit of an airburst magma effect. It just kind of blankets infantry in magma and burns them down to ash quite quickly. You can melt a squad of goblins in just one volley, faster than a normal flame cannon. Your other options here for the Great Book of Grudges are going to be to eventually confederate all of the other lords. How it works is you have to have 15,000 settled grudges, plus however many they have. So whatever that number is, it'll just add on to that 15,000. That number, I believe, also will then increase each time you do confederate through the Great Book of Grudges, so we will find out just how much here together. And quick jump cut. I've not made it quite far enough in my own campaigns and testing to actually confederate any of the other lords with the settled grudges. We'll find out together if that actually is going to increase the amount you have to get as a base. Finally, the legendary grudges have been reworked, so now you've got these 10 special grudges that will give you some pretty strong rewards upon completion, as well as a hefty amount of settled grudges. So you actually are going to be able to restore the underway network, allowing you to teleport around the dwarven settlements quite quickly, as long as you control the different settlements in the area. So in the Old World Mountains and Grey Mountains, this is for any dwarf faction, so all of the dwarfs can work together towards the same goals here in the legendary grudges. So you can play your multiplayer campaigns with your buddies and work together towards just settling these grudges as fast as you can. We'll kind of look through quite quickly here. So we retake the realms, you get the underworld, or the underway network restored in the Old Mountains and the Grey Mountains, as well as some grudges. The final War of Vengeance has you defeating Avalorn, Ivres, and Attain, and then claiming their capitals, giving you the landmark building and Val's Anvil and some more grudges settled. The Karak Zorn's Scorn is about dealing with the Lore Masters, the Order of the Lore Masters, the Drakenhof Conclave, Court of Labaris, Last Defenders, Exiles of Khorne, and then building up a Hall of Ancestors. So we are just not about making friends anymore here with the Dalby, which I think was always the case. Clan Scryer and Clan Molder being felled and then claiming their capitals gives you Call the Miners, which allows you to have your own Menace from Below ability with miners, which I think is much scarier than normal clan rats. Next up, we have the Fallen Ones, defeating the Chaos Dwarves, and then their creations of Grimgor's Ardboys gives you the underway network in Uzkulak and Karakazorn, and then a Dwarf Ancestor Relic. The Forest Elgi being defeated being the Wood Elves Talzin and Arguilan, and then claiming all of Athel Loren gives you a unique landmark building in the Oak of Ages, where we're just basically turning it into charcoal, which is pretty on theme for the dwarves. You've got the Umgi of Chaos, so defeating most of the settlements up where Norska is going to give you a cooldown reduction for all underway network travel by 3 turns. The Elgi Oathbreaker for defeating all of the Dark Elves, and then claiming Nagaron gives us a unique dwarf lord added, so like kind of a pseudo legendary lord. You got the Karak 8 Peaks Grudge for defeating Crooked Moon and Clan Moors. Claiming Karak 8 Peaks will give us 2 extra Grudge Settler unit capacity per armory. We'll show off how many. I think it's only 5 you're allowed to have, but I will make sure here in just a moment. The Shame of Silver Pinnacle will be claiming back Silver Pinnacle and building up the Sealed Tombs, which will allow you to unlock the upgrade for the Sealed Tombs in the Silver Pinnacle. There's all sorts of stuff to get to now. And that's even before we get to Malakai's adventures. So the Dawi rework, I think, is absolutely glorious, and the best of the 3, even if they're all pretty good. So, for Malakai, since there's not really any dwarfs nearby, we do still need these heavy current stones to get growth up and running sooner rather than later. We'll move through the Way of the Guilds here, into heavy current stones, and then we'll circle back to the Way of the Clans to start upgrading, I guess, our miners. Ammunition for miners sounds good, then we could also go for the interlocking shields. Get some warriors and have them just set up in a shield wall while our artillery blasts away. Seems like that could be pretty effective.
And maybe add runes for luck.
And, right, since Krakadrak is honestly pretty under threat from most enemies, I would normally want to go for walls here right away. Let's try to be a little bit aggressive here with Malakai, and let's go for a trinket maker to drop our construction cost everywhere else and give us a little bit of gold. Everywhere else in this province, that is. Alright, Malakai, let's try out your units. Dungrud has 308 grudges that need settling. Honestly, fighting a Great Unclean one right off the bat is pretty terrifying. You've got the Nurgling Emergence, Gross, Aura of Pestilence, and then a couple of basic Nurgle spells. If we let those hit our miners, they're gonna have a really bad day, but everyone else here is gonna blend right through these poor Nurgle boys like it's their job. Alright, Magathkin, time for some target practice.
That'll teach him.
Yeah, let's start this battle off with a proper volley. Dungrut might be hiding in the woods, but a few of those cannonballs should be able to splash on in and get some damage. Well done, brave Darby. So for our first battle strategy here, we're going to go ahead and slow things on down because things got going rather quickly. We've got the lovely orange painted Dobby here. I love Malakai's color scheme. I'm going to say it 100 times. Him and Barak Var are absolutely my favorite. We'll go ahead and pause here because most of our units are already streaming towards the battlefield. At least our gyrocopters are. Look at the Doom Seekers. They're incredible. We don't have any better camera mod active just yet, so we have to kind of make do, but look at the animations here. Got your several different variants of a Slayer hairdo. Love this one the most. Standing a little bit too close to Malakai's inventions. Your Doom Seekers are awesome. You've got your normal Dawi Thunderers ready to bring some Daka. We've already seen our cannons. And of course we know what the miners are all about. We've got Malakai himself with his triple-barreled. This is a Thunderer that he has modified himself. It's not quite a Grudge Raker. He has a normal Thunderer just with 3 barrels. But almost like a few more of his little hair, his beard tips to be singed. But he looks incredible. Gotrek and Felix being with us right off the bat is great. You know him, you love him. The Demigod Slayer and his Human Rememberer. By the end of their journeys, both of them are pretty much walking demigods themselves. He looks looking a little bit. He's looking very angry at these gnarly boys here. Picked the wrong group. Our bombing run has already initiated, so we spent a little bit too much time hanging out with the group, but we've got one more bomb to show off. Exploding some Plague Bearers. Not going to do the most damage here simply because they have a lot of physical resistance and health as far as units go. So we're going to then immediately have our Brimstone guns pivot, keep blasting away and getting as much damage as we can on their Lord. As you can see, the damage is pretty pitiful. So we're going to switch then and have them going after the Plague Toads hiding in the woods. The only units that are going to be of any threat to our line pretty much whatsoever are being Big Dunrut here and his Hoppy Plague Toads. Malakai letting loose with a salvo and starting to reload already. He's actually got a reload animation. Didn't have to use any kind of ramrod or anything, just pours the shot on in and starts blasting. More cannonballs screaming in to get as much damage on the Great Unclean one as possible. Fire doing pretty good damage to both the Nurglings and the Plague Toads. The fact that it also applies Burnt, dropping leadership for the demons, is incredible. As soon as the Toads are in range, though, our Thunderers can start opening up. And we'll allow Gotrek and Felix and Malakai to be the Slayer front line. We know they can be, as Malakai gets launched into orbit by the Toads. What is this? In appears the Spirit of Grundy with an incredible spawn-in animation. We've got all sorts of super aggressive Slayers all over this insane-looking war barge. We've got Grudge Rakers, shotguns all over the outside of it. You've got your drinking hall full of Slayers having a sip. You'll see one of them now. We've got a good old, I think this is one of the Dragon Slayers manning the helm. And a bunch of good old Slayer pirates as well. Simply a god tier unit. Absolutely a centerpiece. It's going to be dropping bombs the entire time. It's got a harpoon that we just saw launch there and pretty much immediately fell the Great Unclean One. Bombs will drop as you are flying over the top. You don't have to give the order like with your normal helicopter squads. Got 2 cannons on the front, and then of course those shotguns all around the outside that fire the entire time. Stats are a little bit misleading here because this only has 1 range. This is talking about the bombs that drop from the hull's exterior there. So you don't get to see exactly what all of the different missile damages are. This is simply the bombs. Showing off the extra jet ability there and how much damage we've taken is pretty negligible. Health drops very fast, but nearing around 15,000 health to start means the Spirit of Grudge will absorb that no problem. The demons fizzle away to nothing. Glorious. We'll have to check out the Doom Seekers in the next fight. We had too much fun watching our barge. And in the internal struggle between Dawi and the followers of Nurgle, we come out on top pretty aggressively there. The only ones that we lost were likely due to friendly fire from our own cannons, and that was quite a fantastic battle there. We will take... Now, I'm tempted to go for the experience, because we actually don't need the Oath Gold as much as your normal factions. We have a few abilities to earn it through our adventures that are coming up. So instead of going for Gold and Oath Gold, let's this time, we'll snag Drink to Victory. We're going to build up our experience as quickly as we can. Drinks for everyone. We need an army belonging to Magathkin, giving us 500 gold, and then we've also summoned the Spirit of Grogny in that battle, so we've got more crew and 100 Oath Gold. We're now halfway to unlocking our Forge.
Malakai Makaisson.
In said battle, we also got 2 skill points, so we're going to go ahead and grab for Malakai Root Marcher and Inspiring Presence, just to get those up and running. And then from there, we're going to have Malakai just move down his line to get the Cinder Blast, Cluster Bombs, and then his other goodies. So we got Piercing Shots for more explosive damage and normal missile strength, Gunsight for even more range, pumping him almost up to 200, and then good old Deadly Onslaught for if anyone does close that gap, they're going to really rue the day. We'll come out back down and go through his blue line and finish off with the artillery and flying war machines. For Gotrek, we'll go for good old training. So Gotrek and Felix now have a little bit of a reworked skill line now where they have, before every time he would leave your faction and come back, he would come back with one of these different traits, be it Skaven Slayer, Demon Slayer, and so on. Now these are actually traits he is able to unlock once he hits rank 5 that are going to give your hero's army a little bit of a bump against whatever faction that would be, so whatever their main gimmick is, it helps you out with that, and then makes Gotrek stronger against them as well. So he gains the ability Slippery, so in case he is needing to escape from too many assassins or something, he can go ahead and pop this ability and try to escape, or just stay there and gain 24 more melee defense to be that much more tanky. You've got Demon Slayer, which will give you more armor when fighting against Warriors of Chaos, Norska, Chaos Dwarves, and Demons of Chaos, which is fantastic. That's for the entire army. Beast Slayer gives us more movement, and then Woodsman when fighting against the beasts, which will be so good for all of our missile units being able to actually fire through trees like they don't exist. We've got Orc Slayer for more melee defense with greenskins, reinforcement time, and then leadership. Elf Slayer gives Gotrek himself some missile block chance, and then a missile resist for the whole army, and more range when fighting against the elves as well. And then Zombie Slayer, lastly, gives us more attrition replenishment, or attrition resistance from vampiric attrition, and then more resistance for himself, and more weapon strength for the whole army when fighting against vampire counts, ghost, and tomb kings. Getting stuck in. 5% more speed, 5 more defense, and Strider. He is a monster. Has been reworked a little bit though, where you're going to have to actually build up his physical resistances, so from the start he has no armor, and no resistances at all. I don't even know if he has access to the Wards of Grimnir yet. No, he absolutely doesn't. So most other Slayers will be taking enemies down, and as they do so, they build up some ward save. Doesn't look like he actually has the ability to do so, so he's just going to be healing. Concerning, and anytime you're in a army with Felix, you get 5 more defense, so we're going to definitely need to move on in and try to build up his Stubborn Defiance. Is it? 10% is not that much. Well, Gotrek is going to be much more squishy than he used to be.
Engineer!
Felix will just go ahead and grab him his replenished troops.
What?
Now we'll move in to take down Shulk Trocken.
Let's give them something!
Not a lot here worth fighting, so this army we are going to auto-resolve since it is just some Nurglings and some Plague Bearers. We have plenty more fights ahead of us. So we will be... Ooh, I think we still sack the settlement though, just to extract as much gold as we can. We've got a war machine to upgrade. We'll sack Sucktrucken, and then we'll go mining back in for even more grudges to be settled. We have now passed the Scruff Age of Reckoning, so at least when this next age ends, we'll have at least a little bit more handle on our control and growth and upkeep for those Grudge Settler units. Onward to Trom.
Innovator! Slayer!
So come on up and grab Survivalist. Gotrek will do kind of the same, where we can start working on his melee capabilities for him and Felix both. Actually, I think I'm gonna have Felix. Oh, it's far too late, is it? That's fine.
Engineer! What?
Was going to have Felix maybe go for control instead. It'll take 2 whole turns before we can upgrade Malakai's airship to the hardened hull. I think we will spend a single point of our population surplus to go for the beer hall. Drop our recruitment cost or upkeep, and then produce a little bit of Dwarven beer to help us with our trade deals.
I'll try not to kill you. Emphasis on try.
I'll try not to kill you. We definitely need some great weapon warriors. We'll just get 1 unit of them in case anyone closes the gap and needs some sorting out. And I think we'll also go ahead and grab an additional dwarf warrior for a little bit of a front line. We'll grab 2 of them. We need some armor at least for the start. After a little bit here, we won't worry about that at all. We'll just have artillery and his heroes holding the line. It'll be glorious. Let's jump into our diplomacy. The Robsman clan is our first that are looking to make any kind of deals.
None shall
We could also
question
trade
me.
with Katarin.
Like the motherland, our friendship
This we absolutely
endures.
will.
Pleasure
And while we're here, let's offer to join her war with Bearsonling for whatever else she's willing to give us.
this shall suffice.
You should finish off the Bearsonling tribe rather quickly, and if they decide to send armies up after me, that's even more experience for us.
I bring.
We've also got the Robsman clan, we will make deals with since they're no longer starting at war with Katarin, and she usually makes alliances with them and ends up confederating them. And this should help with that. Brotherhood of the Bears fighting the Sarl and Ecstatic Legions. We don't want to make them angry just yet. As far as Urson Revivalists go,
ails you, friend?
I will join your war with Bloody Sword, which you should hopefully start winning quite soon. And you give me... Let's wait to go for that when he actually has a region under his control and then some gold flowing. Because right now he's got nothing.
Or speak.
But we will join Boris in his war with the Cornate faction there, because he should wipe them out pretty quickly as well. That'll just give us a little bit of good public relation bump. While we are also here, let's give ourselves a brand new Demon Slayer Lords. We've got Cunning and the Ancestral Blood of Grimnir. Well, Mundry Silverhorn it is.
Demon Slayer.
Welcome, Mundry. You shall end up being our first Kevin, so... While it's not super dwarven, it is the way with our faction. Our very first Demon Prince was Kevin, so his name has lived on in perpetuity. We will have you just go into a tunneling stance, because there is some trades you can gain from staying in this for a few turns in a row.
I what?
No real reason to do it, though. Besides.
Slayer.
Cool, we're sitting at 2,000 gold to end the turn. We're going to steam on up towards the Lair of the Troll King, and if we can quickly deal with Help It, we're going to try to. But that's going to entirely depend on what the Molder Skaven are up to. And a turn.
Choose my
New mission. Wintertooth has already confederated Aisling. They start right next to that faction's leader, which allows them to, I think after the very first battle, they've already got them confederated. A powerful, authoritative voice in any hold, the guilds dominate Dwarven civil life, controlling trade, finances, and labor, giving us more diplomatic relations with those Dawi when we start meeting them. We now need to upgrade the airship to a hardened hull. For all the spirit of Grugni's impeccable craftsmanship, the work on such glorious feat of engineering is never truly complete. Some slight tinkering and reinforcement, the frame of the airship may still yet be improved. 2,000 more treasury and 100 oath gold. That's what we're going to be saving for next. Take us a few turns, but we'll get there. Onward to the Lair of the Troll King.
explosives expelled.
Want to move to the edge of our own territory if we can help it. And actually, here's what we'll do. We'll have Malakai.
Latest inventor. The best boots
He can go all the way up.
made, of course.
With the airship camp, we can use all of our movement and still in camp, which is just glorious.
From
We'll have
above,
Kevin here, gonna do the same.
Another knight still not dead.
He'll stay here, recruit in some
Sharpen our
units
own axes
in
here.
Giant Horn, and we're not gonna give him anyone too elite. We don't need the warriors, they cost more than I'm willing to spend. We're just gonna grab some miners.
Slayer.
And they will indeed be a minor
You with me,
nuisance.
lads?
Joke ruin. We'll go ahead and grab some more blasting charge miners. And then upgrade our Tinkerer shop.
Cold.
Alright, Troll King. Time to take back your lair.
The Snowbringer.
Hear me
The
roar.
Drugina Enclave is not long for this world, but hopefully
You friend.
we can move in fast before Throg reacts.
Storm Summoner.
We can start bullying them, and maybe the different Kislevites factions can move in and do some work.
I yearn to learn the gossip of your land.
There's no gossip here.
You respect.
You respect me, most wise.
The
We'll see.
Bloodthirsty.
I'm just gonna siphon all the gold out of Kislev so we can continue our adventures.
You count to 4 heartbeats. Or 5 if you get excited.
Looks to be all we can get to for this turn. Let's go ahead and
Pride keeps me warm.
pass it on over to our foes. Sporehogger.
Aye.
Mission issued Confederate a legendary lord in the Book of Grudges, really. With another slight avenge, a name may be struck from the Book of Grudges. Record this triumph in the Damaskron and bask in the reward of your fellow Dawi's gratitude. 2,000 treasury and some more of gold. Alright, Malakai.
The past is the past.
The past is the past. We'll bring our new Demon Slayer in. I guess in march stance. Set him right outside. While he runs on in, we'll take a look at his model. They look so cool. Just the most angry little muscly fella you ever seen. Gold adornments are awesome. Too bad you can't rotate them, but he is glorious. I think we'll go ahead and grab the Dwarven Tattooist. Who has this Gotrek? That actually is just fine for me. So he also goes all the way up to Extremely Daring Deathblow. Which is awesome. And your unique skill line is Ward Save Defense, Army of One, Slayer of Many. Makes him a worthy foe, enabled terror-causing unit in range. So as long as you've got a terror-causing unit, he gets even stronger. That's glorious. Demons be damned, so more Ward Save and melee attack when fighting against Demons of Chaos. He'll be the Daniel Bane. Demon's Bane for more damage, and then Glorious Death. So for 40 seconds, Slayers can't die? I mean, okay then. Sure. Bonus versus large, bonus versus infantry, and they'll just kind of rip through whatever they're fighting. You got your normal Tapestry of Oaths, Ritualistic Scarring, and Slayers to me that the other heroes will have. Or the other lords, that is. Everything else is pretty bog standard, but he is incredible. Alright, Malakai, time to move in and do some damage.
It's me.
We will hit. I guess we'll just go straight after the Rel Get In hole. An unfortunate name.
With his wands.
Gonna put you in a hole. Oh, see you later. Guess not.
Why a slayer?
Sporehogger it is. So this is a battle we'll go ahead and fight because they have some toads. It'll be a good bit of fun to blast them to bits with our cannons and maybe even show off our Demon Slayer if we make the battle last long enough. Onward to slaughter. And once again, Nurgle gets to learn about the power of the Dawi cannon salvo, especially under the control of Malakai. Since there isn't a lot of really big beaters on their side of the field, we're going to send all of our own forward to harass the enemy, especially all of our high damage missile lads. Toads took a couple cannonballs and decided, nope, absolutely not, and they're going to flee back down the hill where it's going to be much harder to actually land some hits. As soon as they're back visible, though, they are going to have a terrible day. As far as new units that we have on our field, we've got good old Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. Who look excellent in orange. Same thing with the shielded lads, too. Gives me the impression that the orange is mostly to let Malakai's air crews know where not to bomb, So you know who the friendly troops are that much easier. Good ol' Dowie ingenuity. 4 Plague Toads took a couple cannonballs and are gonna go right to the Spirit Realm. Especially getting burned by the brimstone guns there. Bombs dropped. Even with both of them hitting the exact same unit pretty dead on, you don't kill a single model. Plague Bearers are very tanky. So from here we pivot to the other unit of Toads and start dousing them in flame. Warriors of Chaos are gonna rue the day. Cannonball's also focusing at the Plague Toads. Malakai getting some pretty good hits here. I think his shots actually have a good bit of penetration, so it deals damage through those models as long as they're actually landing hits in a straight line, which a lot of the Plague Bearers do walk. Not the most clever. Felix charge on in. The enemy spellcaster dropping some Gotrek's melee attack and charge speed. Yeah, well, it works out for him. As the Plague Bearers charge headfirst into the satchel charges. That's what you get. First volley only fells in Plague Bearers, though. They're so tanky. Here to Grungy has arrived, and our Doom Seekers are going to come charging out of the woods and find a juicy target. Cannonball's actually picking their targets very well, not doing too much friendly fire damage while blasting through these Toads. And again, we may not get a lot of chance to use our Doom Seekers here just because of how fast we're finishing off the enemy. Get those shields up, Dwarves. And while they're sprinting on towards the field, we can take a look at our Demon Slayer. Looks very, very similar to how he does on the character selection screen, but I love the individual strands of hair. He has the most glorious of mohawks. And his Wards of Grimnir look great too. He's going to angrily march towards the enemy as a proper murder hobo. Bombs being dropped on friendly forces. Gotrek takes a lot of damage with no resistance in it at all anymore. He used to have quite a few. Now he's a little bit more squishy than he used to be. Malakai's throwing hands, and the Nurglings will also get to see a charge from our own Doom Seekers if they last long enough. Tree of Corruption rips through our... Oh, we were so short, they're having a hard time coming out of the snow. Those chain axes whirling. And they will very quickly blend through these Nurglings. Such a strong unit. Hear the peppering of the shot coming out from our Grudge Rakers, and unfortunately our Demon Slayer just a little bit too slow to actually live up to his namesake as Nurgle's defenders fizzle away. Once again, Malakai's lads come out on top, and we only lose a 58 in the fighting. Mostly having our miners is going to probably have our losses be a little bit higher than normal for start. We do get a Talisman of Preservation from that battle, which is perfect. We're going to sack all the goodies out of the lair of the Troll King and get all of the different grudges we can, possibly. Since they still own a land that belongs to us, it is incurring grudges as we speak.
Demon Slayer.
And I just go ahead and turn around and claim this as Malakai. Perfect. We will simply occupy a lair of the Troll King, which now puts it under our control fully. We have quite a few issues with our actual provincial control, but this should stabilize here in a few turns. Conquest is only going to be for a single turn, and then we're just dealing with the instability, collected income, difficulty, and of course, Nurgly corruption. We're going to just come on in and go for Empower the Guilds for growth. Trinket Maker here, I am going to demolish. If you don't have them repaired, it actually increases how much it costs for your buildings to be constructed. That's hilarious. We'll demolish it, repair this, and we'll put it instead in growth building.
By Grungy, it's me!
By Grungy, it's me!
Explosives expert!
For you, Malakai, let's increase your reload speed.
Oh, aye!
I think we want more defense for Gotrek. Although we can save and give him 10%
Many more to come.
by getting... Where is it at here? Zombie Slayer, if we so wish. Either way, we can go ahead and save, and I can get Skaven Slayer to help out against Clan Molder, and then Demon Slayer for Norska, Chaos Dwarves, Warriors, and all that nonsense nearby. We'll save 1 point with Gotrek.
Engineer!
Felix, however, will give him more defense.
Death Seeker.
And for Kevin, we'll go ahead and just snag the Root Marchers we can keep up. Sounds good. And for now, I'm going to have the Talisman of Preservation over on Gotrek, since he's going to be in the middle of the fight much more often.
What?
Sweet business. Alright, so over to our actual recruitment. I will give the Spirit of Grungni an additional miner with explosives. Let's go one more Dobby Warrior. I guess 2 more of these guys. We can replace them later on with pretty much anything we want. For now, they're an excellent front line. Let's get through both our skill points and our unbuilt goodies in Malakai's airship. We're not fighting Bloody Sword yet, but we can change that pretty quickly here. Urson Revivalists, I'll join your war with these goons, and you give me money. Don't have very much, so we'll maybe let you build up a little bit of your treasury. Malakai's adventures need funding, after all. And the turn. Alright, so Rel Jellyhole comes back to die. Fair enough. We will grant you your request.
Hurry, you bastards!
You lost 20. Alright. Well, it's a little bit goofy that you're still out rolling around. We can at least generate a few more grudges settled by taking you down. We'll take it. A victory over Nurgle gives us more leadership while fighting Nurglish factions, and now we need to establish a trade agreement. We already got a couple of those under our belt, but a few more won't hurt. We have no wars at the moment, but it looks like Skaven really don't like us, and the Troll King also really doesn't like us. I'm not really scared of either of these 2 factions at the moment, well, more so of the Skaven. So that means we're going to want to come on out and deal with Rel. Try to get real aggressive towards Clan Molder. This one will keep most of the Kislevites factions alive as well. I'm mad. Lost 0 that time, which is exactly as intended. Oh, it should have been the first time, too. Magathkin are gone, so we now move towards Hellpit. They definitely own Stroghoff, so whatever is there we can blast through first. Here in the next turn, so it's going to be turn 5, we'll have access to Malakai's Adventures finally. Give us new units. Let's come on down. Evan, you come with... Just normal stance, just stay right behind him.
Killed many, more to come.
Go ahead and snag ourselves the hardened hull for Makaisson's airship.
Engineer!
Tapestry of Oaths gives our Slayers more damage. For now, though, we'll go for Always Ready. Then we get these bombs.
I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. Gotrek has not quite leveled up to rank 5 yet, so hopefully that happens next turn. That'd be awesome. They got the Troll King. We'll go for the Barley Field. If I really need a new Lord, we'll throw one in back here at Struck-Traken or Krakatrak, and they should be able to hold the line pretty well. Pretty well indeed. Brotherhood of the Bear. You're about to get wiped out, so it's going to be a little bit before we get any trade agreements.
Never yield.
Probably the Great Orthodoxy being the next.
Hear me roar.
That's fine. Hear me roar. You use your claws, too. You don't have nearly enough settlements.
A little bit of luck and a whole lot of black Buddha.
Alright, back to our turn. We've upgraded the airship's hull, which gives us our treasury, our oath gold, and unlocks our forge. Kaison's adventures have also unlocked. Glorious. And dwarf grinding stones are always perfectly round and decorated with geometric scrawls and runes, usually of Valia's making. Got another choir master. And a student for Felix. New mission to complete one of Malakai's adventures. Any oath sworn to kin and ally alike must be upheld. Strike out against those who would threaten the forces of order. For honor demands action in the fulfillment of your duty. Malakai's adventures can be started at the panel accessed from the top of the main campaign interface, where mission icons and tooltips will also appear. 2,000 and some adventuring cannoneers. Ah, so it's trying to push us towards the cannon one to start. That does make sense. So we've got Malakai's adventures now. We've got Dragon's Bane, Dreadquake Destruction, Goblin's Monstrosity, Vampire Slayer, Anger of the Forest, Bloodletting, and then finally the Skaven Scheme. So each of these is going to be focused around upgrading a specific one of your war machines or artillery pieces, which is fantastic. For the choices to start here, we've got Dreadquake Destruction and Dragon's Bane. So these are going to be able to give us different rewards as we complete the specific smaller adventures, they call them, on these little peripheries here. After you then complete 3 of those adventures, you will be granted the ability to fight the final adventure battle, which will give you some permanent upgrades to your faction and usually to the Spirit of Grungni as well. So we are going to indeed start off with the canon adventure because we will be benefiting from them pretty extensively through the rewards for completing the adventure as well. So we'll go ahead and start this adventure up for 2,000 gold, and you can have multiple adventures active at the same time. And even after you finish that final battle, you can still complete the peripheral adventures to unlock whatever those mission rewards might be. So for our start here, we've got kill 800 enemies with the cannons, which will give us grape shot ammunition switch for the cannon units. We'll have fighting 1 battle with cavalry units of the enemy army, giving us reload time reduction minus 10% for cannons faction-wide. We'll have fight 2 battles in a mountain climate, which we should be having a pretty easy time doing here. Up in the Krakadrak region, we've got completing the dilemma chain Dwarf Refugees. Interact with the marker to start the dilemma. The entirety of Dwarf Klein has been shaken by one monster's destructive whims. Though the tragedy of dwarf lives cut short by despicable dragon is still fresh in your mind, another crisis is brewing that will soon require your attention. The upheaval of dwarfs from so many holds threatens to plunge your kind into full-blown crisis, so it must be managed tactfully. We'll need to fight 2 battles against High Elves. The Dragon Princes of Calidor once left the world in shadow, as their draconic mounts blotted out the sun, wreaking devastation upon the helpless. It is one dragon's transgression against the innocent Dawi that will be remembered in the annals of history as the reason it was condemned to die. Complicit in the attacks, the elven dragon riders and indeed any of the Aesir who protect the monster must also pay back the debt of spilt Dawi blood. This will give us more recruit rank for all of our cannons faction-wide. And last, we just need to build up a brewery. Cannoneers need some drink. And then you'll see all of the unlocks that you get on the side here for the cannons. The other adventure, being Dreadquake Destruction, will now cost 2,500. We can actually start up this next adventure here in 5 turns after the cooldown is over, and then that'll give us upgrades for gyrocopters. Some pretty good ones, too. I don't think nearly as overwhelmingly powerful as the one for cannons, but still excellent. So we will then come on immediately and go, Malakai's army needs itself some new cannons. And so when you start off your adventure, you get access to whatever units it says you do. We get 3 cannons, so now we've got a full suite of cannons. But what I'm going to do instead of going for a full suite here is we'll do 3 cannons with Malakai and then 1 with Kevin's army. That way he's able to hold the back in case Throg decides to attack.
We sharpen our own axes here.
We sharpen our own axes here. Also, this is where the Dwarven Refugees dilemma is. We could just recruit up another Lord real quick. Handle that. Moshi isn't heat, so she's attacking something she's not supposed to. Let me jump up and handle that real quick. And back. She decided we've got a brand new kind of old school map of the world I'm going to put on in the office here, and she decided that'd be perfect to use as a scratching post, so that had to be dealt with immediately. Alright, so yeah, let's go ahead. We don't have the quest for recruiting another Lord just yet, but since we can afford this right off the bat here, let's do it quickly. You all cost about the same. Actually, let's get ourselves a Rune Lord. That while you're here, you'll at least be buffing up some research rate and dropping construction cost. Don't plan on keeping him, but he can come on over to deal with our refugee problem.
My anger burns.
As far as Krakadrak goes, if we want to go for upgrades there, it's going to take us 5 more turns, which is an idea. But I think let's go ahead and upgrade the lair of the Troll King first. That way we can put in walls here if we need them, if Norska decides to attack. So Malakai, let's start some problems with these rats.
Bad thing. We'll
chop slice, huh? Well, then I'm going to apply cannonballs from a distance.
Friends of the
Take
Ice
military
Court,
access.
we humbly welcome you.
Go ahead and join your war with Clan Mulder, and you give me whatever gold you have left.
You are courteous indeed.
If you survive, we'll have beers in the Thunder Barge.
By Grimney, it's me!
By Grimnir, it's me.
Maintenance!
Let's see who is in Stragov. Oh, is it Throt himself? They haven't had time to actually infect this area yet, so there aren't any minutes below summons for them. We can just finish him off with a quick auto-resolve. That would be quite anticlimactic. We need to defeat Throt properly. Let's have Kevin come on down in encampment stance so he has maximum leadership and melee defense.
Who are you? The Eye King?
Alright, King. We'll go ahead and snag Skaven Slayer and Zombie Slayer for that resistance. And then after that, we'll go ahead and probably give him his Demon Slayer trait.
We'll make it right for the ancestors!
Felix, let's give you hard to hit for the battle ahead, and then after the battle's over, we'll go for replenished troops.
Bring those cannons to bear!
Bring those cannons to bear.
Let's give them something to remember!
In the Forge, is there anything we could do before this battle kicks off? We could give Malakai the Ranger's crossbow. That could be pretty strong. Nothing else here really is that exciting. What I would like to go for first in terms of our rune forging is going to be the Rune of Fear, which we can stack these up and just keep dropping enemy leadership. They take 1 or 2 volleys from artillery and turn and run for the hills.
I can't wait!
Me neither.
It was me, lads!
Alright, Throt. Where doom approaches. Finally a foe worthy of our combat expertise. The good old 3-armed master of Clan Mulder charges onto the field, bringing with him a pretty scary mass of rats here. Our cannon crews and everyone else is going to have their work cut out for them, ripping through the pretty much unending tide of Skaven here. We are going to send forward our gyrocopters, of course, to get as much damage on the mutant rat ogre or the other rat ogres as we can. Our combat formation is back here next to the Standing Stones of Kislev. We've got miners with explosives and Doom Seekers holding one flank, the Great Axe Warriors and some more miners holding the other flank. Got a little bit of a different setup on our line, where immediately next to our Thunderers I want them a little bit more in a square formation, where on the sides I would prefer them to be very wide and absorbing as much of the enemy charge as possible. Let's see how well it works out for us. I've got Malakai's activated ability going down on our cannons right off the bat to provide them with some magical damage and a little bit more armor piercing. Hopefully get to see some cannonballs ripping right through these rat ogres. As the flamethrowers take the mutant ogre to task, actually getting some really solid damage. He doesn't have the most health. Definitely much more of a hero assassin style character. They are being very careful to stay out of range of all of our cannons, though, as just the first set are able to fire up front there. But any ogres that get hit are going to have a hard time shaking that one off. Mutant rat ogre's already down a considerable amount of health. If we have to use all of our ammunition on just this one unit, I will consider that completely worth. Mutant rat ogre is able to rip right through our Dawi lines and keep going. Got a lot of mass and a lot of armor piercing. If he gets into a fight with Malakai, we can kiss Malakai goodbye. Cannonballs, though, absolutely bullying these rat ogres. Down to 13. Skaven are so happy to be here. A couple of the shots splashing pretty ineffectively into these Skaven slaves. Probably to the utter delight of Throt. All cannons have now switched fire to blasting on Throt, except for the ones that were initially going after those ogres. Bombing run, Skaven slave spears taking quite a bit of damage. We're lucky enough to get hits on both the wolf rats and the spears both. Failed warp lightning, I'd love to see that. Spirit of Grudges arrives to cause all sorts of trouble. all of the enemy Skaven Slave slings, and Night Runner slings are going to start opening up immediately on the Spirit, but it's got so many resistances and so much health that it's going to hold the line no problem. Actually, see that this is a new model type called a gunship. Relies entirely on missile attacks to deal damage and has no melee capabilities. Gunship type units also attack ground targets from directly above and have attack flying targets from range. Certain riders with unlimited ammo, so all those Grudge Rakers have unlimited ammo. It's lovely to know. As you can see, it punched probably a quarter of the formation out and away from the rest of their allies there, so Mutant Rat Ogres are a terrifying sight. Thunderers are starting to open up now, as the hordes of rats pour on in. Skaven Slave and normal clan rats, though, we're going to have an hell of a time trying to get through our very armored core. Normal Dawi should pretty easily outclass most of the rats they throw down with. They are, of course, still looking for any juicy targets. While Malakai is tossing hands with the enemy Packmaster there, which is really not a fight he wants. Malakai is not so much a melee fighter, even though he is a slayer. The Thunderer's help, though, the Packmaster Conrich should be sent to the afterlife pretty quickly. Explosives blanking these miners and finishing off their quarry. Mutant Rat Ogre's covered in blood, his own and our allies, likely. Demon Slayer's found himself some enemies to smush, and we actually get to take a look at the new icon for how the Wards of Grimnir, you can see the intensity starts powering up. You can see the bar fill up as it goes, which is a very good change. On the other side of the map, we've got the Doom Seekers and Miners holding the line very effectively against hordes of rats. This is exactly where these guys want to be. They've not lost a single unit yet. They are ripping the rats apart. They've got the Kratos get over here kind of attack. Excellent. Don't want them to overextend too much though, because there are still quite a few rats coming on back, but as soon as they do regain their leadership, what's part of the way to deal with the Skaven, it's part of the way the Skaven beat you, as the Dawi is overextending. Normal Rat Ogres have found themselves some targets. We need our Doom Seekers to turn right back around quickly and get helping out there. Rod has spent the entire battle either running away from Gotrek and Felix or cannonballs, so it has been pretty much the worst battle ever for him. See the Doom Seekers come on back in and rip through these unfortunate Skaven. We'll have the Whirlwind of Doom activating quite soon here, which I don't have a single issue with that. It's only a little bit goofy, but it just blends through. You get to see one of the Doom Seekers fulfill his Slayer oath there, falling in combat. They have already brought down 130 rats, and that number is going to keep on climbing. Clan Mulder, though, has decided that battle is not so much for them. And they break and run for the hills. Alright, the Unclean One dealt with a whole bunch of gunpowder and other explosives. Who gains the Golden Sword this time? Looks like it actually is going to end up being our Doom Seekers. Which does make sense. It is a ton of kills across the board, though. We got 273, 251 for these cannons. Hopefully we get pretty close to actually gaining the 800 kills for our cannons. If not, we'll get it very soon. 154 Oath Gold for sacking Fort Stroghoff. I think we do it.
Get the gold! Inventing's not a cheap business!
Exactly. We've got Deep Cleaner. The blemish of the Unclean One stains the world no more, his foul presence having been wiped from existence. Or health for Malakai. Plunderer for stacking, and then another student to pass out to whoever we want.
Demon Slayer.
Hopefully our Demon Slayer can have a student. Oh no, who is this only for? Master Engineer, Dragon Slayer, Thane, or Runesmith. That's no problem at all.
Malakai Makaisson.
So I realized that we could have easily come on in and recruited in our Dragon Slayer for that battle, but we'll get him here for the next one. We've got ward save, we've got resistance, or we've got research rate. In Zufbarden. If this actually buffs up or drops the construction cost of Malakai's buildings, we are definitely going to have this one
Slayer.
rolling with Malakai.
Follow me, lads.
Follow me, lads.
Done. Follow at your peril.
As far as Kevin goes, let's go ahead and make sure he is chucking hands like a champion.
Greatest inventor.
Sprightly manling for Felix. Charge bonus, evasion. So more speed and melee defense just naturally. And then a Vanguard deploy.
If I'm still alive.
Sure. I'm gonna go for replenish troops though.
Explosives.
Gotrek will come on over and grab. Ooh, let's do Beast Slayer for extra movement range.
Any grudges crossed off?
Any grudges crossed off? They've got a couple of them. Ancestral Grudge for more weapon strength, especially when fighting against the greenskins. I think not. Let's go hard to hit. Moving on towards the Cinder Blast cluster bombs. Because there's no Geneva in Warhammer. We have 300 Oath Gold. If we come on in, we can get the Rune of Fear that I like. We can scare those poor unfortunate Skaven right off the map. Now we'll start building up more Oath Gold for one of the milestones here in our tech tree. One for Call to Clan, that way we can get the interlocking shields and make sure all of our warriors and longbeards become that much more tough to crack. Now we've got the heavy Kernstones, we'll come on up and gather the throngs. We aren't really going to worry about Quarrelers and Rangers for this faction. It's also where we're going to be able to get the upgrades for your Iron Drakes and Thunderers. But since Malakai only is really buffing up war machines like the gyrocopters and your artillery, that's what we're going to be focusing on. So if anything, we'll come up into militia training and go no real further than that.
And maybe add runes. For luck.
For luck. The Druzhina is still holding on to Fort Ostrowsk, and I think our quick thinking there has dealt with the poor Skaven. So, Kevin, you hang out here in Stroghoff.
I hope we're outnumbered.
We'll finish off Hill Pit, and then we should be able to get it back around in time to deal with Grog.
By Grugny, it's me.
By Grogny, it's me.
The best boots are Dawi made, of course.
Absolutely. Airship camp in friendly territory, and then hopefully Zufbarden can make it up to Hell Pit next turn. We should have recruited him last turn like we were currently able to. That's alright. Let's take a look at our new hero, though. Gosh, just a gigantic... Love the mustache, too, but he's got a gigantic axe. And an equally handlebar stash. Or is that just coming out of his nose? Oh man, he's like the Celestial Spirit King. We've got our Runes of Fear. We're just gonna come on in and inscribe that to Malakai. To Gotrek. Felix isn't a dwarf, he can't have one. So we'll go for our Dragon Slayer as well. Because this is, as long as they're in the region, so as long as we can pull them into the same region, those poor Skaven will have -9 leadership.
The past is the past.
So now, to take 4 population surplus to get the rune inscribed frame. So I'm thinking we may go for the practice dummy here, so we can start building up some kind of passive experience gain. We'll go for the mess hall, and then I don't actually think we want to keep this building chain anymore. Although getting Quarrelers to be able to pass out wherever we want does sound pretty good. Maybe we'll just leave it. No reason to delete anything here.
Master of runecraft.
Alright, and Kevin.
Death Seeker.
After you can get Slayer Pirates from Malakai's
Innovator.
airship. I prefer Malakai get Slayer Pirates before anyone else does. And take a look at how well they match up against normal Slayers. They actually just have less weapon strength, and that's it. They lose 20 weapon strength, they have only 1 blade in one hand. And they don't have any bonus versus large. So that's about the only trade-off. They still throw hands with the best of them, and they also have a pistol. Really good stuff. In fact, may leave Kevin here and have him global recruit a few Slayer Pirates on in. 2 Slayer Pirates. And that's that. Glorious.
Bane of demons.
Barley field here. Let's go ahead and demolish this just for gold producing buildings that we can't repair because we are a little bit too poor. We nearly completed that adventure right off the bat, so grape shot ahoy. And then defeating some cavalry, mountainous climate, dwarf refugees, which we'll get to next turn, high elves, and then refractory. Awesome stuff. Well, can we get any more airdrops of gold since we've been dealing with all your enemies?
Your will.
Not yet. That's fine. Doing our part. We've also now got a quest now issued for Makaisson's Persuader. A good fixing up machines. Oh, as good at fixing up machines it is at bashing foes. The Persuader has proven to be a very useful tool indeed. Yet for too long, this intricately designed hammer has fallen into a state of disrepair. Document the successes of other Dawi engineering in battle. Perhaps what is learned from this battlefield research might be used to restore the Persuader to its former glory. This will give us a hefty bump to our artillery and war machine, replenish rate, 5 extra attack, 20% more weapon strength, and then the ability, Makaisson's Persuader, which allows you to heal and replenish ammo any artillery and war machines within 100 meters. How glorious. That includes the Thunder Barge? Oh no. Got a rolling dwarven song, contains many verses and a constant rhythm, used to keep in step and up to pace. 10% more speed for our infantry,
Explosives.
which will benefit our slayers the most. So now, Malakai, can we move in on Help It? Prefer to hit the guy right outside. But we actually still can. That is amazing. We don't have any further units we can bring in through
You reckon an airship could fit on
any mercenary means. We'll just bring our Dragon Slayer up and drop leadership.
Walking, eating, drinking. Grand.
You can see that drop as soon as he comes on in. Get down to 32. Now Malakai and company can go jump Fabric Gear. Hopefully pull everyone outside the walls.
Just watch me.
Just watch me. Oh, he runs for his life.
All right. We'll make it right
Oh.
for the ancestors.
How cheeky. So they're gonna get a few more troops. But at least we'll have our Dragon Slayer.
Let's give them something.
Yeah, you're lucky we can't reach you.
by, eh?
Everyone back up in the airship. Uther, time to deal with our refugee problem.
Rune Lord. Vengeful Rune Lord.
Following the dragon's we're gonna try this one more time. Following the dragon's recent attacks in the mountains, several holds have been desolated, with countless others on the highest peaks abandoned out of fear of more devastation. Swaths of dwarf refugees have started arriving at your settlements, but far be it from you to cast your downtrodden brethren away. With some having descended from high altitudes, the refugees are tired, homeless, and angry, yet whatever energy you can put into helping them is not unlimited. You must now focus on appeasing them in the best way possible, whatever you deem that to be. We can offer them shelter. Putting roofs over their heads and hot food into bellies can heal any dwarf spirit, at least for a time. Or offer them some retribution. The anger of law should be channeled into defeating the one responsible. Have them join the warriors and be given military rations. Yeah, let's offer them retribution. That's Malakai's way. We are the Slayer engineer after all. Anger amongst the homeless Dawi is palpable. The vengeance that burns in a dwarf's heart never quells until final retribution is attained. Many of your kin have thrown themselves wholeheartedly into their martial training. It's time to decide what role they'll play on the battlefield. We can arm and equip them with, looks like Longbeards that are Grudge Settlers, and Quarrelers that are Grudge Settlers. We get some Slayers. Bring the Slayer Oath is pretty dark. That's what we offer, though. Here on our journey, we offer the Slayer Oath. Ulthur, you will, since we're still making fine amount of income, just have you go into march and defend Krakadrak.
Armed and ready.
Dragon's Bane successful. So with that mission
Drum back
under our belt, the first little notch has been filled. Once all three of them are, you can fight that final adventure battle.
Slayer.
Alright, Malakai, with all this extra gold, let's give you the shooting gallery.
Yowie Scudder.
We'll repair here. Kevin's still recruiting in some more troopers. Let's give him a couple of normal Dawi. for Malakai, we could replace these Dwarf Warriors with some Grudge Slayers? Grudge Slayers, indeed. They've got Armor Sundering. Yeah, let's do it. Pick out both of you two and replace them with Slayers. Oh, I'm not able to. Well, in foreign territory. Well, that's unfortunate.
Only the toughest dowie.
Well, in that case, we definitely need to grab in some more Slayer pirates.
Live a lily glounce.
Make sure we read properly. We could just have Kevin do it since he's got one more turn on his recruitment either way. He can just bring them up with him. That should be pretty useful. We just won't recruit them yet. So we're not paying the extra upkeep.
Follow it, you.
Troll country, for now, you are just going to make us some Oath Gold. Sounds glorious.
You and whose army? Oh,
Before we end the turn, though, we've got plenty
Lord
of
of all.
possible allies nearby.
Bow to me.
The snow.
Yes, no, we don't. We could have had a lot of possible allies nearby. And turn.
best I mortal use mine.
Alright, the Bearsling faction has been wiped out by the Zarina Katerin. And Morific is holding the line here by himself.
The council is
Brave and foolhardy. Oh, there's Gorich. Welcome back, sir. Let's just go ahead and have Finn join up with Malakai.
My doom.
Come witness my doom.
Bane of demons.
For you there, Kevin. Earbeard, Wallbreaker, or Miner's Instinct. Let's just go for Stubborn Defense. Or Stubborn Defiance, that is.
More means to kill. The Damas
March stands up here to help out with the Siege of Hellpit.
It's me.
Like Grungni, it's me!
Aye.
Gonna kick those guys out.
Handy.
Oh well. Morphific is going to meet his maker all the same. Let's continue the siege and bring those Slayers to bear. I'm only going to bring one of the units, though,
Yes.
because they're kind of expensive on the upkeep. I like to keep the other ones in case of emergency up here at Krakadrak. Having an additional just one unit of Slayers should turn the tide in most battles there.
That'll do.
No siege equipment. We don't need it, we have cannons.
Let's get.
Alright, we could just choose to auto-resolve Hellpit, which is, again, very anticlimactic, and we absolutely won't. We will start the next episode off with a cinematic battle against the denizens hiding out here in Hellpit. For now, though, this is going to be all the time I've got for today. Thank you all so much for stopping by our very first Malakai episode. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like for Light God and a sub for the Sub Throne. I'll see you all in the next one.